Let me give you an update about the survey that you completed a couple of weeks ago. If you call Vaughn Forest your church home, you received a survey from the leadership of our church asking for your input, asking for your feedback as we continue to move forward in this season, considering when God would have us have worship services here on our campus once again. And you gave us some really great feedback. Let me say thank you to the 296 households who completed the survey. And it's been really helpful over the last couple of weeks as we've been meeting as pastors, as I met with our governance board this past week through a Zoom meeting. You've had a voice in those conversations. We've literally been able to look at the surveys while we've been talking, while we've been considering what God would have us to do, and it's been really helpful. And I wanted to share with you today 4 insights that we have gleaned from you, that you shared with us in this survey to kind of give you a feel for where everyone is as a church family, those at least who completed the survey. So the first insight that we gleaned from you is that you've been really pleased with how our church family has loved and served you during this season. And I can't tell you how much of an encouragement that was for us to hear that. I was so grateful that our staff got to see that. They have worked so hard during this season. I was so grateful for our worship team, our production team that every single week has continued to provide online worship gatherings for you. It was such an affirmation. It was such an encouragement to them to hear from you that you feel like they have been serving you well during the season. So thank you for sharing that input. The second thing that we gleaned from this survey is that most of the people who completed the survey indicated that they would like for us to begin to offer services on our campus again sometime during the month of June or July. The third thing that we saw from the survey is that for about 50% of the people who completed it, their kids will be a big variable in determining when they'll start attending on our campus again. And what I mean by that is when we'll offer nursery, when we'll offer children's ministry, when we'll offer student ministry. That's going to really be a big factor in determining when they decide to return to our campus. And then the fourth insight that we gleaned from you is that the COVID-19 rate here in Montgomery County is certainly a variable that has to be considered as we make this decision. And so all 4 of those insights, from letting our team know that you feel loved and served, to hopefully being able to come back in June or July, to kids being a big deal, to paying attention to the COVID-19 rate in Montgomery County, all 4 of those insights have been incredibly helpful. So let me tell you where we are today as a leadership team. 1, we agree. We would really like to be able to offer worship services on our campus again sometime during the month of June or July. 2, we haven't yet chosen a specific date, a specific Sunday. We are still continuing to monitor the COVID-19 rate in Montgomery County. And I think I've said a number of times in this season that we're really moving through this a week at a time. And so we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves and choose a date, too far out into the future. And so we want to be sensitive to that. We're going to continue to monitor that week to week. And so while we want to continue to have a hope that we can meet in June or July, we haven't yet chosen a specific date yet. But that doesn't mean we haven't continued to be prepared. I shared a few weeks ago all of the changes we've made with our facility. Over the last several weeks, we've been working internally as a team, and our staff has done a fantastic job with this, to really put on paper what our process will look like when you return. So we want to make sure that when you return, you can attend safely. We want to make sure that when you return, we have a process in place that allows for social distancing, that allows for us to maintain all the standards that we're being required really to maintain by the CDC. And so I feel really good about that. I think we've got a good plan in place. We've got a really large room that will allow us to accommodate families that will be able to be spread out. So we've got our plan, but we want to continue to monitor what's happening around us. The third thing I want to let you know is that when we do return, we're going to take a phased approach. So our phase 1 will simply be offering our worship gatherings at 9:30 and 11. There will be no nursery, no preschool, no children's ministry, no student ministry. Our adult life groups won't be meeting on our campus. So when we offer services here, again on our campus, phase 1 will simply be an opportunity to worship together with your family in our worship room. So it'll be family friendly. We want you to bring your kids. If they're babies, if they're toddlers, if they're elementary, if they're teenagers, all of that is welcome. You'll be able to sit together with your family. You'll be spread out from other families here in the room, and you'll be able to worship together as a family, and then you'll be able to go home after the service that you have attended. And then at some point, phase 2, in the future, we will add back our children's ministry. We'll be able to add back our student ministry. And then some point, phase 3, we'll be able to add back our life groups. Then eventually, at some point down the road, while it probably won't feel exactly like it felt before, we will be able to offer everything that we were offering before on Sundays. But that's well into the future. That's on a date that I can't quite possibly predict for you today. But we're going to take baby steps. We're going to take a phased approach, and the step we're talking about is simply phase 1 of offering our worship gatherings at 9:30 and 11 back on our campus. And then finally, let me say this, that when we choose a date, we will communicate it loudly and clearly. We will use every available means of communication. We'll make sure that everyone knows. And when we choose a date, there will be many of you who will choose to continue to worship online, and I want to let you know that that's perfectly okay. That we are not making a decision on when we're going to reopen our church. I've said that a number of times. Our church never closed in this season. We've continued to do ministry in this season. We've continued to meet as a church family during the season online. What we're deciding is when we're going to have options for you to choose, when you'll either be able to choose to continue to worship online as we've been doing, or choose to worship here on our campus. But whether you choose to worship online or whether you choose to worship on campus, we are going to move forward together as a church family, unified. And one of the things we've learned in this season, I think I said a few weeks ago, is that our unity is not determined by our proximity. Our unity is determined by our purpose. Our unity is determined by our mission. And so we'll move forward into this next season. We'll still be unified by our purpose. We'll still be unified by our mission, whether we're worshiping online, whether we're worshiping on our campus. So I'm really excited that we're in this season, and we'll be sure to update you and communicate with you as our leadership team feels that God is leading us to choose a specific date.